In the journey of self-discovery and creating the life we want, one of the most important factors is how we communicate with ourselves. Many people may not realize that the words we use to talk to ourselves not only affect our mood, but also shape our beliefs and direction of action in life. When we change the way we talk to ourselves, from negative to positive, we open the door to new opportunities and attract everything we desire. Imagine that every word, every thought is like a seed planted in our mind. If we regularly water the positive seeds with strong and positive affirmations, they will sprout and grow into colorful and rich experiences. On the contrary, negative thoughts only make us stagnant, lose motivation and desire to live. Therefore, positive self-talk is not only an art, but also a golden key to attracting everything we desire. 1. Mapping the mind. Stoic insights on shaping thought patterns. Every thought we entertain, whether it's a fleeting notion about breakfast or a deeply held belief about ourselves, sparks a flurry of neural activity. With each thought, the brain activates specific neurons that communicate across synapses, forging pathways that shape how we perceive and interact with the world. These neural pathways, much like well-trodden trails in the mind, influence our habitual ways of thinking and responding. Viewed through the lens of Stoicism, this process aligns beautifully with its central teaching. It is not external events that disturb us, but our interpretations of them. Modern neuroscience echoes this insight, showing that our habitual thought patterns become ingrained pathways in the brain. When we continually think in a particular way, our brain strengthens these thought patterns, setting them as default responses to similar situations. This mental wiring demonstrates the Stoic idea that we have considerable power over how we respond to the world, not by changing the events themselves, but by reframing our perspectives. Embracing this power allows us to reshape our cognitive responses, shifting them from knee-jerk reactions to thoughtful, considered responses aligned with our values. 2. Positive self-talk. A Stoic path to growth. Stoicism teaches us more than just monitoring our thoughts. It encourages us to actively replace unhelpful thoughts with constructive ones. Instead of saying to yourself, "I always mess things up," the Stoic approach would prompt you to think, "I made a mistake, but I can learn from it." This isn't about sugarcoating reality, it's about viewing your actions and their outcomes through a lens of growth and opportunity. The Stoic practice of reframing isn't a tactic to ignore challenges, but a method for understanding them in a way that empowers resilience and self-improvement. By fostering positive self-talk, we're not denying our failures or shortcomings. Instead, we're learning to engage with them productively. When you catch yourself in negative self-assessment, consider the shift from a perspective of blame to one of constructive learning. Adopting this mindset helps us cultivate what the Stoics valued most: a rational response to life's inevitable difficulties. For example, if we face a setback at work or in personal life, the immediate reaction might be self-criticism or defeatism. But Stoicism suggests that we pause and redirect our inner dialogue. Rather than dwelling on disappointment, we might remind ourselves that every setback offers a valuable lesson. By doing so, we create a constructive outlook that can guide our next steps. This approach aligns with the Stoic principle of taking control over our judgments. Seneca, one of Stoicism's prominent voices, argued that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Many times, the harshest judgments we face come not from others, but from ourselves. Positive self-talk, therefore, becomes a practice of curating these inner narratives to foster clarity and calm rather than distress. Engaging in positive self-talk doesn't mean ignoring the potential consequences of our actions. It simply means choosing to respond to them with patience and perspective. This reorientation allows us to work toward improvement without succumbing to self-doubt. Stoic practice teaches that by seeing mistakes as stepping stones rather than obstacles, we can reduce the burden of regret and find motivation in every lesson learned. In the end, Stoic-inspired self-talk is about fostering an honest, constructive dialogue with oneself. It's not about evading accountability or downplaying challenges, rather, it's about engaging with ourselves in ways that enable growth, resilience, and a steadfast commitment to improvement. 3. Shaping your mind: Stoic practice and the science of neuroplasticity. The concept of neuroplasticity reveals a powerful truth: our brains are not static. They are constantly reshaped by our experiences and thoughts, adapting and evolving with every new input. This adaptability means that each positive thought, each conscious choice we make, is a step not only toward a more fulfilling life, but also toward a healthier mind. Embracing Stoic practices, grounded in both ancient wisdom and modern science, allows us to understand that we aren't at the mercy of external events. Instead, we hold a profound level of control over our responses and ultimately over our personal happiness. Neuroplasticity suggests that our brains, like any muscle, respond to repeated actions. When we engage in positive thinking and mindful reactions, we effectively train our minds, reinforcing neural pathways associated with calm, resilience, and fulfillment. This is where Stoicism aligns powerfully with scientific insights. The Stoics teach that while we cannot control external events, we do control our responses. This mindset, sustained through practice, gradually builds a resilient mental framework. Neuroplasticity affirms that this framework isn't just a mental exercise, it physically shapes our brains, adapting them to handle challenges with a balanced and constructive perspective. Incorporating Stoic principles into daily life taps into this potential. As Marcus Aurelius advised, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Each time we redirect our thoughts toward constructive reflection rather than reactivity, we are sculpting our minds, reinforcing habits of patience, rationality, and calm. Through such repeated practices, neuroplasticity transforms these responses into second nature. What initially requires conscious effort becomes, over time, our natural way of thinking and reacting. This is the Stoics' path to personal freedom and emotional well-being, a freedom rooted in shaping our own minds. The Stoic practice of detachment from external events encourages us to recognize where we place our mental energy. Neuroplasticity backs this up. The areas of the brain that get more attention grow stronger, while those ignored weaken. By focusing on what we can control, such as our interpretations and actions, we are essentially investing in parts of our brain that bolster our mental health and stability. In doing so, we relinquish our attachment to fleeting, often uncontrollable events, cultivating a durable sense of peace and resilience. Scientific and Stoic wisdom converge to offer a liberating message: personal growth and happiness are within our control. By training our minds, we can reduce stress, enhance emotional stability, and foster enduring happiness. Neuroplasticity reminds us that change is possible at any stage in life. Each positive thought, every mindful reaction, strengthens the mental foundation for a resilient, balanced life. As you continue on this path, each choice you make to react thoughtfully instead of impulsively reinforces your mind's capacity for self-control and contentment. It's an empowering process that turns what may seem like passive traits into active skills. Both Stoicism and neuroplasticity show us that we are not prisoners of our circumstances, but architects of our own minds. Embracing this truth opens the door to a life filled with inner strength and genuine fulfillment, one mindful choice at a time. 4. Cultivating inner harmony: Stoic practices for emotional mastery. The Stoics championed an approach to life that harmonizes emotion with reason, grounded in the idea that true satisfaction stems from within rather than from external circumstances. This teaching aligns closely with the concept of emotional regulation, a process through which we guide our emotions to support, rather than disrupt, our life goals and values. For Stoics, emotions should not rule us, nor should they be suppressed outright. Rather, they should be understood and brought into alignment with rational purpose. One of the core tools in this Stoic pursuit of harmony is visualization. Unlike superficial daydreaming, Stoic visualization involves vividly imagining a desired outcome or a specific state of existence within the mind's eye, creating an internal environment where our emotions and reactions can be refined and directed. Visualization offers a mental rehearsal, allowing us to embody resilience before life's challenges even arise. Picture yourself facing a difficult situation, a confrontation, a potential loss, a major life change, and see yourself responding with calm, rational composure. Through this practice, emotions become less like unpredictable waves and more like currents we can direct, steadying ourselves before the real-world impact of any situation. This isn't about suppressing fear, anger, or sadness. It's about cultivating a steadiness that allows those feelings to exist without controlling our responses. For example, a Stoic would use visualization before entering a high-stakes scenario, such as a difficult conversation or a stressful work task. They would vividly anticipate the different reactions they might encounter and prepare themselves to remain calm and measured. In doing so, they create a buffer, a psychological space in which they can exercise control over impulsive reactions and instead choose responses aligned with their values. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Visualization becomes a method to actively cultivate that quality, shaping thoughts to align with inner peace and resilience. Emotional regulation and visualization work together to create a foundation for lasting contentment. When we recognize that our emotions are responses rather than dictators of our actions, we reclaim a sense of agency. This is the Stoic path to true satisfaction, cultivating an internal state that remains steady and resilient, irrespective of external events. 5. Embracing reality, transforming challenges into opportunities through Stoicism. Stoicism places immense value on seeing the world as it truly is, not merely as we wish it to be. This perspective isn't about fixating on negativity, rather, it's about embracing a clear and unfiltered view of our circumstances. By doing so, we equip ourselves to respond more effectively. When we talk about accepting reality within the framework of self-improvement, we often confront our own biases and preconceived notions. This philosophy invites us to adopt an honest perspective. Many of us hold expectations shaped by past experiences or cultural norms, leading us to interpret situations through a biased lens. Recognizing these biases is essential, as they often limit our capacity to engage with reality constructively. Stoicism encourages us to look beyond our immediate perceptions and cultivate an understanding grounded in clarity, not distortion. In practice, acknowledging reality means embracing both the pleasant and unpleasant aspects of our experiences without resistance. Life, as Stoics remind us, is a mixture of challenges and rewards. By confronting difficulties head-on, we gain insight and resilience, transforming what might initially seem daunting into invaluable opportunities for growth. To live as a Stoic is to train oneself to face adversity without flinching. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's prominent voices, advised us to meet everything as if it were meant to happen. This approach invites us to reinterpret difficulties as chances to refine our character. Rather than wishing for a smoother path, we can choose to strengthen our resolve, ultimately finding purpose in hardship. Cultivating this perspective requires patience and practice. Instead of resisting or denying uncomfortable truths, Stoicism teaches us to face them openly. By recognizing that external events are beyond our control, while our responses remain within our grasp, we can shift our focus from frustration to constructive action. This empowers us to find meaning and growth in every circumstance, however challenging. The journey of self-improvement is not about transforming the world to meet our desires, but about transforming ourselves to better meet the world. 6. The power of steady practice. Stoic transformation through consistency. Stoicism teaches us that virtue isn't merely a theoretical idea, it's something that must be practiced consistently to hold real value. In much the same way, when we talk about building new habits or reshaping our mindset, consistency is the key that unlocks genuine transformation. The process isn't about grand gestures or dramatic changes, but rather the quiet repetition of small actions, performed day in and day out, until they become woven into the fabric of who we are. The Stoics understood that character is formed over time and through persistent effort. Much like a sculptor chisels away at a block of marble, we too shape ourselves through each mindful action, each disciplined choice. To them, virtues like courage, wisdom, and justice were not achieved overnight, but through relentless commitment to practice. This dedication transforms us, aligning our thoughts and actions more closely with our values until they are second nature. Consistency in practice does more than build good habits, it creates a foundation of resilience. As Epictetus noted, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This phrase captures the Stoic emphasis on aligning daily actions with our deeper intentions. By approaching each day with mindful repetition, we cultivate the kind of inner stability and strength that Stoicism celebrates. Real transformation requires patience. When faced with setbacks or temporary lapses, the Stoic approach encourages us to get back on track without judgment. Progress isn't linear, but what matters is the resolve to continue. Over time, this steady practice creates a gradual yet profound shift. Actions that once felt like effort become effortless, habits once foreign become familiar, and ultimately we become the person we set out to be. 7. Embracing challenges. The Stoic path to gratitude and acceptance. In Stoicism, gratitude is more than a habit for good times, it's a call to recognize value in all experiences, including the difficult ones. This might seem counterintuitive, but consider that every challenge carries within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. Practicing gratitude then means not only appreciating obvious blessings, but learning to uncover hidden opportunities for growth and wisdom, often camouflaged as obstacles. This Stoic approach to gratitude transforms our relationship with adversity. Rather than seeing difficulties as mere roadblocks, we begin to view them as exercises for the mind and spirit. A challenge becomes a training ground where we can hone resilience, patience, and understanding. It's a shift from merely enduring tough times to actively engaging with them, welcoming the lessons they hold. The aim is not to avoid suffering, but to approach it with the readiness to extract value. When we embrace this broader perspective, even the toughest trials take on a different shade. Rather than resisting or begrudging them, we acknowledge the potential for growth. Each struggle presents a moment of choice, a chance to either succumb to frustration or to cultivate a deeper sense of purpose. That a path Stoicism teaches is where genuine gratitude flourishes. It's an appreciation not just for what goes well, but for the full spectrum of life's experiences, recognizing that all contribute to our development. Acceptance, therefore, becomes a companion to gratitude in the Stoic mindset. By accepting what we cannot change, we free ourselves from the internal resistance that breeds suffering. This acceptance is not resignation, it's a deliberate choice to align with reality as it unfolds. Life's natural ebb and flow become less intimidating when we realize that our role is not to control every outcome, but to navigate each experience with grace and strength. In this light, gratitude is no longer dependent on external circumstances. It becomes a state of mind, a cultivated habit of seeing worth in every phase of life. With practice, we start to recognize that life's difficulties often serve as catalysts for our own evolution. Stoicism encourages us to welcome these moments not as misfortunes, but as essential components of a life fully lived. Ultimately, the Stoic path of gratitude and acceptance offers a profound resilience, allowing us to face life's uncertainties with equanimity. We move beyond superficial gratitude, reaching a deeper acknowledgement of the transformative power within each moment, finding, as Stoic wisdom suggests, that within every challenge lies the potential for growth and insight. 8. Empowering questions for a purposeful future. Let's consider the power of asking intentional, empowering questions. These questions are carefully crafted to prompt us to think differently and act with purpose. Unlike passive questions that might evoke feelings of helplessness or resignation, empowering questions invite us to take ownership of our circumstances and envision possible solutions. Such questions challenge us to break out of limiting thought patterns. For example, instead of asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" a question that nudges us toward frustration or resignation, we might ask, "What can I learn from this, and how can I respond differently next time?" This subtle shift turns the question into a catalyst for growth and resilience. When we ask empowering questions, we are directing our mind to look for answers that support our development, reminding ourselves that we are not passive bystanders in our lives, but active participants who can influence the course of our journey. Empowering questions also foster self-accountability. They remind us that while we may not control every circumstance, we do control our reactions and responses. By reframing our self-talk with questions like, "How can I make the best of this situation?" or "What small steps can I take to move forward?" we gradually shift our mindset from a reactive one to a proactive one. These questions encourage us to look for ways to adapt, grow, and make the most of our present, even in challenging situations. Moreover, empowering questions cultivate a mindset of intentionality. They invite us to imagine our future selves and consider what actions today might serve us in the long run. For instance, we might ask, "How will my future self thank me for handling this situation with patience and wisdom?" Questions like these allow us to tap into our values and sense of purpose, aligning our actions with the person we aim to become. In this practice, Stoicism offers a framework for growth. When we turn inward and engage with purposeful questions, we are embracing the Stoic idea that our character is shaped by the choices we make in response to life's challenges. This perspective enables us to shift from dwelling on problems to actively seeking solutions that strengthen our resilience and clarity. 9. Empowering questions for a purposeful future. Let's consider the power of asking intentional, empowering questions. These questions are carefully crafted to prompt us to think differently and act with purpose. Unlike passive questions that might evoke feelings of helplessness or resignation, empowering questions invite us to take ownership of our circumstances and envision possible solutions. Such questions challenge us to break out of limiting thought patterns. For example, instead of asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" a question that nudges us toward frustration or resignation, we might ask, "What can I learn from this? And how can I respond differently next time?" This subtle shift turns the question into a catalyst for growth and resilience. When we ask empowering questions, we are directing our mind to look for answers that support our development, reminding ourselves that we are not passive bystanders in our lives, but active participants who can influence the course of our journey. Empowering questions also foster self-accountability. They remind us that while we may not control every circumstance, we do control our reactions and responses. By reframing our self-talk with questions like, how can I make the best of this situation? Or what small steps can I take to move forward? We gradually shift our mindset from a reactive one to a proactive one. These questions encourage us to look for ways to adapt, grow, and make the most of our present, even in challenging situations. Moreover, empowering questions cultivate a mindset of intentionality. They invite us to imagine our future selves and consider what actions today might serve us in the long run. For instance, we might ask, how will my future self thank me for handling this situation with patience and wisdom? And questions like these allow us to tap into our values and sense of purpose, aligning our actions with the person we aim to become. In this practice, Stoicism offers a framework for growth. When we turn inward and engage with purposeful questions, we are embracing the Stoic idea that our character is shaped by the choices we make in response to life's challenges. This perspective enables us to shift from dwelling on problems to actively seeking solutions that strengthen our resilience and clarity. Thank you for joining me today and for becoming an invaluable part of our Stoic community. This journey toward a virtuous, fulfilling life is not a final destination, but an ongoing process. Each step you take, each thought you entertain, and every word you speak shapes the future you envision for yourself. Let this serve as a reminder: keep questioning, continue these inner dialogues with your future self, and, most importantly, integrate these Stoic principles into your daily life. The teachings of Stoicism encourage us to view our lives as dynamic, ever-evolving paths rather than a series of accomplishments to check off. Each experience and every moment presents an opportunity to refine our character and align our actions with the values we hold dear. This isn't a matter of perfection, but of progress, a daily commitment to living in a way that honors both ourselves and those we share this world with. Every day we're given choices, moments to embody virtues like courage, wisdom, justice, and self-control. These are not abstract ideals, but guiding principles that Stoicism urges us to apply practically. As Epictetus teaches, the path to freedom and contentment lies in aligning our desires with what is in our control, while gracefully accepting what isn't. This is where the real power lies, not in seeking to bend the world to our will, but in adjusting our attitudes and responses to whatever the world brings. In our pursuit of a life worth living, we must remember the power of self-reflection. Taking a moment each day to pause and evaluate our actions allows us to engage in honest dialogue with ourselves. Seneca wisely encouraged us to examine our progress daily, as a means of holding ourselves accountable and staying true to our chosen path. In this way, Stoicism becomes not just a set of beliefs, but a way of life that invites us to live with intention and integrity. Speaking with your future self may sound abstract, but it's a profound exercise in responsibility and foresight. Imagine a version of yourself 5 or 10 years down the road, a person who has endured, grown, and adapted through life's inevitable ups and downs. What would this future self thank you for today? What choices would they wish you'd made? And which ones would they caution against? This visualization isn't about burdening yourself with hypothetical regrets, but about fostering a sense of purpose and direction, an inner compass that aligns your daily actions with the kind of life you want to live. As you continue on this path, remember that setbacks are part of growth. The Stoics teach us that obstacles are not to be feared or avoided, but embraced as opportunities for resilience and learning. Marcus Aurelius, in his timeless wisdom, reminds us that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This concept that challenges our opportunities in disguise shifts our focus from frustration to transformation. Instead of lamenting adversity, we can choose to see it as an essential part of our development, a stepping stone toward a life of virtue and fulfillment.